You know the feeling. Everything is finally in place. The job is stable, the relationship is steady. The chaos you used to navigate every day has quieted down, and instead of feeling relieved, you feel something else creeping in. A low hum of restlessness, a quiet voice asking, "Is this all there is?" You start scanning the edges of your life for something wrong, not because anything is wrong, but because the absence of crisis feels strangely uncomfortable. You catch yourself romanticizing the past, the years when things were harder, more uncertain, when you were constantly fighting for something, and you wonder what's wrong with you. Why can't you just be happy now that you finally have what you thought you wanted? You start small. You pick at tiny imperfections in your otherwise good relationship. You refresh your inbox a little too often, hoping for some problem to solve, some fire to put out. You scroll through the lives of strangers, comparing your quiet evening to their apparent momentum. And then you feel the guilt, because you know you should be grateful. You tell yourself to appreciate this, to be present, to stop looking for problems. But the feeling doesn't go away. It sits in your chest like a dull ache. And the more you try to force yourself into contentment, the more restless you become. It starts to affect how you see yourself. You begin to wonder if you're broken, if you're incapable of peace, if maybe you're the kind of person who needs chaos to feel alive. Here is what's actually happening. Your brain is not broken. This feeling is not a sign that you are ungrateful or self-destructive. It is the predictable result of how your nervous system learned to survive. For a long time, your brain operated in a state of high alert. Maybe it was a difficult childhood where you had to anticipate the next problem before it arrived. Maybe it was a career built on constant deadlines and instability. Maybe it was a relationship that kept you guessing. Whatever the cause, your brain adapted. It built entire neural pathways designed to scan for threats, to keep you prepared, to keep you moving. In that environment, uncertainty was normal, and stability felt dangerous, because in the environment your brain learned to navigate, calm often meant that something was about to go very wrong. Peace was the pause before the storm. So now, when life becomes stable, your brain doesn't recognize safety. It recognizes the absence of the familiar, and it interprets that absence as a problem. It starts searching for what's missing. It starts generating its own tension just to feel normal again. This is not a character flaw. This is a survival mechanism operating in an environment it was never designed for. To understand why this happens, you have to understand how the brain processes certainty and uncertainty. Deep in your brain, there is a system called the salience network. Its job is to decide what deserves your attention, and it makes that decision based on one primary factor: what is most relevant to your survival.
For years, the most relevant information in your life was what might go wrong next. So your salience network became exquisitely trained to detect potential problems. It got very good at finding them, and like any system that's been trained on a specific data set, it now struggles to function when that data set disappears. When there are no obvious threats to find, it doesn't relax. It just lowers its threshold. It starts flagging tiny things as urgent. A neutral comment from your partner becomes a potential issue. A quiet afternoon becomes evidence of stagnation. A lack of drama becomes a void that needs to be filled. Think of it like a thermostat that was installed in a house that was always too cold. For years, it ran constantly, heating the space just to keep it livable. And then, one day, the house becomes properly insulated. The temperature stabilizes. But the thermostat doesn't know that. It keeps running. It keeps trying to heat a room that is already warm. And when it can't find any cold air to respond to, it starts to malfunction. It clicks on and off erratically, searching for a problem that no longer exists. That is what is happening inside you. Your brain's threat detection system is running in a stable environment, and it's misfiring, because stability is not the condition it was calibrated for. This is also why you might find yourself subtly creating tension just to feel like yourself again. You pick a small argument. You procrastinate on something important just to feel the pressure of a deadline. You take on a new project you don't have time for. Not because you want chaos, but because chaos is the only state your brain fully recognizes as normal. And your brain would rather have a familiar problem than an unfamiliar peace. So what do you do when your own mind keeps trying to convince you that peace is a problem? The answer is not to fight the feeling. The answer is to understand it, and then to gently retrain the system that's running beneath it. The first step is to stop judging yourself for the restlessness. When you feel that low hum of boredom or anxiety, and your first instinct is to criticize yourself for it, you are adding a second layer of tension on top of the first. You are telling your nervous system that it is wrong to feel what it feels, and that only increases its sense of threat. So instead, when you notice the restlessness, pause. Say to yourself, my brain is doing what it learned to do. It is scanning for danger because that kept me safe before. I don't have to act on it. I just have to let it be there. This is called cognitive defusion. It's a technique from acceptance and commitment therapy. It separates the feeling from your identity. Instead of thinking, I am restless and ungrateful, you think, there is restlessness, and restlessness is just a sensation. It doesn't require a response. By simply observing the feeling without engaging with it, you starve it of the fuel it needs to grow. You teach your salience network that this signal does not require action. Over time, the system begins to turn down its own volume.
The second step is to give your brain the right kind of novelty. Your brain isn't craving chaos. It's craving the kind of engagement it once got from navigating uncertainty. But there's a difference between destructive uncertainty and constructive novelty. Destructive uncertainty is unpredictable and outside your control. Constructive novelty is something you choose. It's learning a new skill. It's exploring a new part of your city. It's reading a book on a subject you know nothing about. These activities engage the same dopamine systems that once fired during periods of high-stakes problem-solving, but they do so in a way that is safe and sustainable. The key is to introduce small, regular doses of novelty that are fully within your control. When you do this, you give your brain the stimulation it's looking for without undermining the stability you've built. You begin to retrain your brain to associate safety with curiosity rather than danger. The third step is to recalibrate your internal timeline. When you've spent years operating in crisis mode, your brain's sense of time becomes distorted. It learns to live in short, intense cycles. Problem, solve, recover, next problem. Stability feels wrong because it doesn't fit that rhythm. It feels like nothing is happening. But nothing is happening is not the same as nothing matters. Stability is not the absence of movement. It's the foundation that allows for deeper, slower movement, the kind that can't happen when you're always putting out fires. So, you have to teach your brain a new relationship with time. One way to do this is through what psychologists call temporal scaffolding. You create small, consistent anchors in your week that have no urgency but carry meaning. A weekly walk with someone you care about, an hour on Sunday to plan something you're excited about, a 10-minute check-in with yourself each morning to ask what matters today, not what is urgent. These anchors signal to your brain that time is not just a series of emergencies, it is a space where things can grow slowly. Over time, your brain learns to find satisfaction in the long arc rather than the quick hit. The fourth step is to shift from passive stability to active stability. Passive stability is when you simply avoid problems. You stay in a situation because nothing is wrong. Active stability is when you engage with what is good. You nurture it, you build it. And this distinction matters because your brain doesn't register the absence of a negative as a positive. It needs to see you investing in something to recognize it as valuable. So, instead of just being grateful that your relationship isn't in crisis, you actively invest in it. You plan a small ritual together. You express appreciation in specific terms. You ask a question you've never asked before. Instead of just being relieved that your job is secure, you find one part of it that you want to get better at, and you put deliberate effort into it. This activates your brain's reward system in a way that passive stability does not. It tells your salience network, this is relevant, this is worth paying attention to, not because it's a threat, but because it's a place where meaning is being built. The fifth step is to make peace with the fact that this will take time. You are not trying to eliminate a feeling.
You are retraining a system that was built over years. There will be days when the restlessness returns. There will be moments when you catch yourself scanning for problems again. When that happens, do not interpret it as failure. Interpret it as your brain doing its job. Your only task in those moments is to notice it, smile at the old mechanism trying to protect you, and gently return your attention to what you are building. This is called self-directed neuroplasticity. Every time you choose a different response, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen the new one. You are not fighting your brain. You are teaching it a new language. Here is the mental model that ties all of this together. Imagine your mind is a forest. For years, the only path through the forest was the one carved by crisis. It was wide, well-worn, easy to walk. Every time something went wrong, you walked that path, and your brain, being efficient, made that path stronger. Now, stability has arrived, and you are standing at the edge of a new clearing. But there is no path yet, and your brain, looking for the familiar, keeps pulling you back toward the old trail. The restlessness you feel is the pull of that old path. The boredom is your brain telling you that the new clearing doesn't feel like home. But here is what you have to remember. You are not trapped. You are standing at the beginning of a new trail, and every time you choose to walk into the clearing instead of back toward the old path, you are making the new trail a little wider, a little more familiar, a little more like home. You are not losing yourself by learning to be still. You are finally giving yourself the chance to see what grows when you stop running. So let yourself feel the restlessness without running from it. Let it be there without letting it drive. Give your brain the novelty it craves, but on your terms. Anchor yourself in the slow, meaningful rhythms that only stability can make space for. Invest in what is good until your brain learns that good is worth paying attention to. And be patient with the part of you that still scans the horizon for smoke. That part of you kept you alive. Now you get to teach it how to live. You were not built to survive forever. You were built to eventually arrive somewhere safe. And now that you have, the most courageous thing you can do is stay. Not because staying is easy, but because staying is how you finally let the dust settle. It is how you let your nervous system learn, at last, that the storm is over, and that peace is not the pause before the next storm. Peace is the place where you were trying to get to all along.